So hello, everyone. It'd be good for us to kind of get your seat, and we'll get started real soon because we're actually having a simulcast. And I have to wait to be given the heads up that we can actually start. Okay, we're ready to go. So welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the formal launch of the Siebel School of Computing and Data Science. We also thank Chancellor Jones and President Killeen for joining us. Our program will proceed with comments from the university, system, college, leadership, and Tom Siebel. Then Tom and Dean Rashid Bashir will sit down to answer questions of this most important audience here, as you can see right here, our computer science students. So now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce Rashid Bashir. In addition to being Dean of the Grainger College of Engineering since 2018, he holds a Grainger Distinguished Chair in Engineering. I will spare you and him from the lengthy roll call of his achievements. Suffice it to say that he is an accomplished scholar, entrepreneur, and leader, and we're really lucky to have him as our Dean. Welcome, Rashid.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, thank you. And I think we should, we'll have lots of applauses here today, but also let's thank Nancy for her great leadership of the new School of Computer Science. Okay. So thank you all for being here today. This is a very special day, a very special time for us to celebrate this transformative gift and acknowledging the responsibility that actually comes with it. So we're so honored to have Mr. Tom Siebel here with us. We'll be thanking him through the afternoon and evening, and we really appreciate him coming and also for everything that he has done for this college, this campus, and the world. So I just want to start maybe with a round of applause for him as well. Thank you. It is the perennial challenge and the shared responsibility of our land-grant mission here at the University of Illinois and the Grainger College of Engineering to benefit the people of our state and the world, a mission to which we all are deeply, deeply committed. This new school, it's just so exciting. This new school represents the evolution of computing and data science as really the third pillar of engineering alongside I think many of you have heard my way of saying this, which engineering is really, comes from physical sciences, right? Physics and chemistry, and soon biology will be part of it as well. And then you take the language of mathematics and you forward design. So engineering is about this forward design. And these two pillars have been the traditional pillars of engineering, but the reality is that computing and data science, and then everything else that follows, such as AI, and other very important things, they are now a third pillar for engineering and actually for almost everything else. And this is exactly what the mission and the vision of the school is. This new school represents the evolution in this framework. Here in the college, we are the heirs of the university's deep history of computing innovation, deep history of which Mr. Siebel is a big part of. Computing and data science are now essential to every Grainger Engineering's education and profession. So we want to actually permeate computing and data science across the College of Engineering, and of course, as much as we can, across the campus to introduce this important field of knowledge and scholarship in other domains in a very collaborative fashion. This computing and data science will provide every Grainger engineer with training and opportunities to enhance their capacity to excel in their chosen field. Because we are who we are at the University of Illinois, we take on tough challenges. And we really thank, again, Mr. Tom Siebel for this generous and visionary gift today. With the establishment of the Siebel School, we are challenged not to just imagine, but also to actively accelerate discovery and redefining computing and data science education and research. We are challenged to continue our university's proud tradition of cross-disciplinary research and instruction, energized now by these new resources and the new ideas that these collaborations will bring. Rapid advances in machine learning and AI are transforming engineering. They're transforming every field. But as the Dean of Engineering, I can say certainly they're transforming engineering. And our research and education that we do here, we're going to continue to build on our legacy of breakthroughs. And these initiatives at Illinois, applying AI in agriculture, education, healthcare, and more. And these will really transform lives worldwide. It's appropriate to gather today during the inaugural Founders Week at the University of Illinois. So this is also, I don't know how many of you knew, this is the Founders Week. And we have multiple events happening to celebrate founders. And the interest and the excitement around entrepreneurship and innovation has also been dramatically increasing across campus from our current students. So this week is dedicated to celebrating startup founders, innovations from faculty, research, and students, and cultivating opportunities for supporting entrepreneurs. Recognizing the links between and contributions from everyone involved in this ecosystem, it also sharpens our collective focus on igniting the enterprises in computing and data science that will change lives globally. And of course, Mr. Siebel is a very, very well-known founder that we'll talk some more about as well. So this is very timely that we're also doing that this week. So again, I'd like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to Mr. Tom Siebel for his generosity and for his and for the inherent opportunities that the establishment of the Siebel School of Computing and Data Science presents to us. At Illinois, we are determined to rise to the occasion and exceed all expectations, as we always have. So we will continue to do so, and I know he will make sure that we continue to do so. I also want to take a minute to thank many campus leaders who really helped make this happen. I think some of them are here, but certainly Interim Provost Bill Bernhardt, I don't know if Bill is here, he was very instrumental in helping us get this through. Our current Provost, John Coleman, was very, very supportive and helped us move this process. All my fellow deans were very, at the end of the day, we got letters of support from everyone across the whole campus, which was just phenomenal. And I'd like to specifically call out the Dean of LAS, Vinitria Patton is here. Vinitria was a big supporter, and really without her help, I think this wouldn't have happened. So I appreciate it, and thank you, Vinitria. And one other person I want to mention is Norman is here, Norman Pequin. Norman helped us with a lot of the process and all of the stuff that goes through in submitting a proposal to our academic processes to move this through. So thank you, Norman. And of course, I also want to take this opportunity to recognize Mary McDowell. Mary is here. Thank you. Mary will be speaking later also. Mary is the board of our chair of the Board of Visitors, and she is a CS alum and also helped us a lot through this whole process, helping to envision and kind of refine this original sort of challenge that was put forward by Tom. So today also happens to be our Engineering Board of Visitors meeting. We aligned all of that, so we have some members of the board. Maybe I'll ask them to just please stand quickly to give them a round of applause for just their support. Thank you. Tom. Thank you for being here. So this is the College Board of Visitors, of which Tom is also a part of. So thank you for being here. So with that, I really want to this is a very exciting day. It's a new beginning. This is new for our college as well, to have a school in the college. And I think it's something that we want to be, nimble and adapt to new opportunities and structures with the thinking that, again, computing and data science and everything that comes with it really permeates our whole college and collaborates across the campus. So thank you. And now it's my privilege to welcome the Chancellor of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, Dr. Robert Jones. Chancellor will come and make some remarks.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me start by saying good afternoon to each and every one of you. This is a very, very special day, and I can tell you I am very, very excited to be here. And so, Dean Bashir, just want to thank you for that very fine introduction, but most of all, to thank you and Nancy and the rest of your department heads and chairs for continuing to do what I think we do exceptionally well at this university, is to think out of the box and to act out of the box. And you've heard me talk about these radical collaborations and partnership. Well, they start here at home. And this is a prime example of what we're talking about because, folks, this is the way that we will really continue to be at the leading edge and pushing the leading edge of innovation as we have done so effectively for the last 157 years, and I suspect we're going to do it for the next 157 years and counting. So today we do really find ourselves gathered on the precipice of a revolution in computing. And once again, thanks to the vision, but also the generosity of Tom Siebel, it is very, very clear to me that this is, as Raj has said, certainly a revolution. You know, I could go all the way back and tell you to think about how far we've come from the invention of the transistors or the graphical web browsers, both of which I remind you were pioneered by scientists and innovators at this university who fundamentally changed the trajectory of society. Sometimes I think in this innovative climate in which we live, we forget about some of those fundamental principles. But I'd like to remind us of those each and every day because it kind of set the stage for where we are today and truly where we will be going tomorrow and the years ahead. But this is more than just that. Our dedication here today really does mark an entirely new era, as Rasha said, in computing and data sciences as we know it. And so we've gone from talking about bits and electricity to talking about quantum particles and neurons. But today, artificial intelligence becomes more integrated into our computer operations and the critical work we do as a world-class research university. And these advancements certainly, I think you would agree, have ripple effects, as Rashid said, across everything from agriculture to healthcare to education to transportation systems and beyond. It is really cross-cutting across almost any sector that you can think about, and that is what makes it so powerful, but also what makes it so compelling and so interesting. So this is the third pillar that Dean Bashir referenced, and in addition to math and physics and computing, in this new frontier in engineering, and I was glad to hear you say that biology will be the fourth frontier. No biases, no prejudice, I'm just saying that biology has to be part of that next frontier, and we've already had some conversations about what that might look like. The notion that human cells being able to do computation, to me, is one of the most fascinating things I've heard across 47 years in higher education. So we are really at a point here where we are once again forging the path to discovery and to innovation. And just like Mr. Tom Siebel, the Illinois community, and more specifically our researchers and alums and our students, are no strangers to that forefront. Being on the outer edge or the leading edge of revolution like this can be sometimes, for the less indoctrinated, a bit uncomfortable, an uncomfortable place to be. But I think I can fundamentally say, and I think I speak for everyone in this room, we're pretty much used to it here at this university. It is the way we do business and the way that we bring about innovation. That is because what we do, first of all, is we problem solve first. And let me say that again, we solve problems first. And we will continue to do that through this school. And as we continue to create new pathways for our students and explore computing, those students will go out and go on to make discoveries that will make our state, our nation, and our global society a better place for us all. This is our obligation, as Rashid alluded to, as a land-grant university. And we've been working consistently, and this is another iteration in the big, bold plan to create the land-grant university for the 21st century and beyond. So we are very, very fortunate to have a patron, a partner, an alum whose vision certainly aligns with our goals and our commitment as a land-grant university. So please join me for just a moment again to thank Tom for his generosity, but equally important for his amazing leadership and innovation. Tom, we could not be more proud and more grateful for all that you've done for this great university. So let's give him another round of applause. So make no mistake about it, your gift will change the world. Your name will forever be attached to this school and several other fixtures around this great university campus. But perhaps more importantly, your gift means that you will forever hold a stake in the educational outcomes, the innovation advancement of this university, and will forever have a stake in impacting the world as you've already been able to do over the course of your career. So it is my great pleasure, as said, to be with you, Tom. Great to see you again. We had a great conversation over breakfast this morning. We solved at least one or two of the world problems. We'll get the rest of them done this evening. Tom, it's great to see you as always. So with that, let me close my remarks and say that it's a privilege for me to invite to the stage at this point the University of Illinois System President, President Tim Killeen.
Great to see you all. Good afternoon. Thank you, Robert, for your introduction. And Tom, it's always you get the blood flowing whenever I'm near you. Not only are you a visionary, but you're also somebody who kind of pushes us, challenges us to always think beyond the conventional. And that is an incredible asset and gift, as well as the generous funding that we're celebrating here today. It's an incredible honor to be here, to celebrate a beginning of something that's really transformational in many ways. But it's based on an institution that is already working at a world-class pace and energy with incredible students, hardworking students, fantastic faculty. We're going to be recruiting more of those faculty. And so we're ready for the prime time moment, that the challenges that we're facing in this decade. And they are inextricably linked with data and computation and the application of modern technologies, including quantum and maybe even cellular computers down the road, with the challenges that humanity faces. We're on a path where the knowledge is growing exponentially. You know, we're building a capability and understanding of how the physical world and the biophysical world works at just the time where we need that knowledge to create a sustainable and healthy future for humanity and our grandkids and their grandkids. And right at that point where those two curves intersect is now. It is this generation. So when we bring all these new students to our table, they are going to be confronted with the ability to ingest and disseminate new knowledge, solve problems, and those problems are problems that need to be solved. And Chancellor Jones listed many of them: energy, transportation, smart cities, food, even conflict resolution, health delivery, educational aspects, etc. And they're all going to be inextricably linked to understanding this can be driven through data, through scientific purposes, through computation, and the world is a nonlinear place. We have no choice but to go down this path. And Tom's whole career has been one of not just insight, but understanding, deep understanding of the next frontier, and the one after that, and the one after that. And the fact that you're here investing in us, and I see it as an investment, is quite a statement in this setting. There are many other universities, but there's something in the air and the water at this place that Tom recognizes, I know he recognizes it, where there's a generous spirit of collaboration, radical collaboration, as the Chancellor points out, where people and experts from all fields are able to work collectively in a way where not stiffened by ego and not invented here. And that's something in the air and water here. And I have to say that there's a comet in the sky right now. I can't pronounce the name. It's a Chinese name, but it only comes once every 80,000 years. So the last time this comet, and you can see it south-southwest when the sun goes down, I think it's clear tonight, it's worth checking it out, comes every 80,000 years. The last time there were Neanderthals roaming Europe. This time it's us. And I think the apparition is to celebrate the Siebel Center for Design and Center. Let's face it, it's only going to be here for the next few days. It's only going to be here for the next few days, but I think it's a signal that the challenges we all face together, the human capacity that we have to bring to bear, the generous kind of collaborative spirit that we bring, and not just in our own university, but with the system, the Midwest, the U.S., and internationally. The scene is set for important things to happen. And remember these two curves. We need the knowledge just at the time that the knowledge is emerging. So it's exciting to be at that pivot point. If we'd have known as much as we know now, 150 years ago, we'd be in better shape. If we didn't know it until 150 years in the future, we'd all be toast, almost literally. Thank you, Tom, for your leadership, your drive, your passion, and your belief in us. That is very inspiring.
Thank you, President Kleen. So now it's my pleasure to introduce fellow Grainger Engineering alum and technology industry leader, Mary McDowell. Mary is a recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Achievement Award from the Department of Computer Science, a long-serving member and current chair of the Grainger College of Engineering Board of Visitors, and a supporter of the Engineering Visionary Scholarship Fund, an endowed fund that provides the most flexible scholarship funding for engineering students. We're grateful to Mary for her dedication to the college, her philanthropic support of women in engineering, and her instrumental role, which included numerous hours in Zoom calls over several years, in effecting this transformation and elevation of the Department of Computer Science to the Siebel School of Computing and Data Science. Please help me welcome Mary.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Tom, and distinguished university and college leaders for affording me this opportunity to speak on a very momentous day. Long ago, well, 2011, another Illinois computer science alum made the assertion that was broadly covered in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal that software was eating the world. And this was the idea that no industry was immune from software disruption, or said more positively, every industry could be reimagined to leverage the power of software and digitization. It was a very provocative statement, coming just 10 years after the internet bust and the demise of such illustrious companies as Pets.com. But we all know this assertion was correct. And it turned out that the internet crash had more to do with investor exuberance, and it was not at all an indictment of the underlying technologies. Ultimately, the business models and the innovations came together, and compute capabilities that had been locked away in random server rooms became accessible to all through something that we now casually call the cloud. And beyond the first wave of digitization of books, entertainment, and photography came industries that were firmly planted in the physical realm that were also impacted. Retail, transportation, energy, supply chain, even agriculture companies increasingly had their value creation derived from software. A new generation of SaaS companies with dizzying valuations, something our illustrious benefactor knows something about, was created, unleashing billions and billions of value. So I think it's fair to say that software most definitely ate the NASDAQ. And so now, as we stand in the next stanza of the rhyme of history, AI, big data, and other innovations some of which are still agleam in Nancy's eye, are poised to shake the world again in very fundamental ways. Now, we who are here today are justifiably proud of the role Illinois engineers and computer scientists have played in the evolution of modern computing, with seminal discoveries and advancements, and an enviable roster of illustrious alums, none more famous than Tom, who have led their commercialization. And what makes today's ceremony especially exciting and meaningful is that Illinois is again poised to lead the way. Through Tom's vision and generosity, in partnership with the extraordinary leadership of Rashid and Nancy, the new Siebel School of Computing and Data Science will be at the forefront of this next revolution. Now, one of the very special and distinctive characteristics of the new school is that it is not geofenced to be north of Green Street. The school's foundational promise of cross-disciplinary research and collaboration across the entire campus will maximize the relevance and impact of and access to its research and advancements. And in a very fitting way, it brings the Illinois land-grant ethos into the modern era. So, on behalf of the Grainger College of Engineering Board of Visitors and the wider Grainger alumni community, congratulations. We really could not be prouder. And we can't wait to see the Siebel School of Computing and Data Science lead what comes next. I'm highly confident it's going to be a hell of a feast. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mary. So now it's my opportunity to have a few remarks. So establishing the Siebel School of Computing and Data Science is a cause for celebration. Tom Siebel's generous gift enables and inspires us to imagine the future and invest in the next generation of computing and data science leaders, scientists, and professionals. That is indeed something to celebrate. I am so excited that this day has come and so honored to be part of this transformation. The CS faculty, the college, and the campus has been discussing for a long time, decades, really, about the right way to situate computing on campus. And indeed, this was one of the key discussion points I recall from my interview for the department head back in 2018. It was actually in this very room, and I was in this very spot. And I remember it. I remember one of the faculty members asking me about that, and that was an exciting discussion. And this opportunity, frankly, was one of the reasons that drew me back to my alma mater. As we've mentioned here, I did get my PhD here back in 1995, and it's still the great place that it was. But it could be better with this investment. From the beginning, we knew that we wanted to remain tightly integrated with engineering, but also strengthen and formalize our cross-campus partnerships and collaborations. So becoming a school in the College of Engineering is the perfect solution for us, the college, and the campus. And I think we all knew that, and we're so excited that this is how this transformation has come about. The creation of this new school also represents our acceptance of a challenge. It is the challenge to build on the groundbreaking work of those who came before us at the Grainger College of Engineering and the Department of Computer Science at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign to break new ground ourselves. It is the challenge to prepare our students for excellence, providing them experiences and opportunities to develop into our leaders of tomorrow that we so sorely need. It is the challenge to continue the exploration and innovation in research and education across and between all disciplines that is a landmark feature of the University of Illinois. Indeed, it is really in our DNA. It is the challenge to make an education in computing and data science accessible to all students on campus and to provide people from all backgrounds at all levels. Our new school's faculty, staff, students, alumni, partners, and friends worldwide are arrayed here today to meet and accept these challenges. Tom Siebel's gift enables and inspires us to imagine the future and invest in the generations who will follow us, ensuring this great place will have the resources and the stature to continue our tradition of innovation, excellence, and accessibility. That is something to celebrate. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Tom Siebel. my fellow alum, and the man who has made this day possible. Thomas M. Siebel has 3 degrees from the University of Illinois, a bachelor's in history in 1975, an MBA in 1983, and a master's in computer science in 1985. In 2013, he was inducted into the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He is the chairman and CEO of C3.ai, the world's leading provider of enterprise AI. Siebel was the founder, chairman, and CEO of Siebel Systems, one of the world's leading software companies, which merged with Oracle Corporation in January 2006. An active and consequential philanthropist, Tom is the founder and chairman of the Siebel Foundation, which supports efforts related to education and research programs, the homeless and underprivileged, public health, and energy solutions. His generosity to the University of Illinois has included major funding for the Thomas M. Siebel Center for Computer Science, the Siebel Center for Design, the Thomas M. Siebel Chairs in Computer Science and the History of Science, and the worldwide Siebel Scholars Program, which annually recognizes 5 Illinois graduate students, who we met this morning. Mr. Siebel is a member of the College of Engineering Board of Visitors. Please help me welcome Tom to the stage.
Mr. President, Chancellor, Dean, members of the Academy, students, alumni, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great and humbling honor to stand before you today. I am very much a product of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. To the extent that I learned to read and understand history, I learned that at UIUC. To the extent that I learned to write effectively, to think creatively, to work diligently, to question everything, and to think out of the box, I learned that at UIUC. To the extent that I learned to overcome adversity, to be doggedly persistent, to strive for excellence every day, and to try to attain the unattainable, I learned that at UIUC. But today, on behalf of the UIUC student community and the alumni community, and the world at large, I am here to thank you all for what you do. You are changing the world by changing lives like mine, one at a time. I take great pride in my close association with UIUC over these now many decades. And I can't thank you enough for that. To the extent that I've been able to make some small contributions to what is and what will be the greatness of this august institution, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege and honor. Thank you all.
So thank you, Tom, for your remarks and unwavering commitment to the Siebel Center for Computing and Data Science, the Siebel School for Computing and Data Science, sorry. Your continued investment in this transformative initiative is shaping the future of innovation and education in ways that will impact generations to come. We will now take a short break to prepare for the fireside chat that we will have soon. So please feel free to stretch your legs, and we'll reconvene shortly for what promises to be an engaging discussion. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing this event. So you can have a brief break, but don't go too far.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am John Coleman. I'm the provost here at the University of Illinois. Delighted to be with you all. Really moved and inspired by the comments we heard earlier, in particular the comments by Mr. Tom Siebel. So we are continuing our celebration and dedication of the new Siebel School of Computing and Data Science with a fireside chat. I know we want to get to that as quick as possible, so I will be brief. As Nancy Amato and Dean Bashir, Chancellor Jones, and others noted earlier, today's dedication of a new school represents more than an elevation of a department to a school. It is not an administrative change. Today is a recognition of the evolution of computing and data science, as the Dean said, a new crucial third pillar of engineering. Though he was wavering there, and maybe it's third, maybe it's fourth. He was kind of working it all in. But a new pillar, either way. And we often say, as the Chancellor mentioned in his remarks, that this university is a place of endless opportunities. And the formation of this new school truly puts an exclamation point on that claim. From advancements in all fields of computing, from AI to robotics and beyond, to the new cross-disciplinary collaborations the school will support, the impact of this transformation from department to school will be significant. Illinois has a deep history of computing innovation, and this transformation reinforces the Grainger College of Engineering's position as a global leader in discovery, innovation, and education. At Illinois, we are creative, we are collaborative, we are interdisciplinary, and we think big. Today, together, we are grateful for Tom Siebel's visionary, think big mindset in this and his many other Illinois endeavors, and we are so proud that he is part of this Illinois community. His investment in the next generation of computing and data science leaders, scientists, and professionals is both generous and inspiring. And he is investing through them in bold innovation across industries, sectors, and communities. Computing, data science, and AI, as was mentioned earlier, are not fenced in. The ideas and innovations that will come from the new Siebel School will serve to energize and expand cross-disciplinary partnerships and their impact across the college and across the university. It is a significant fact, as the Dean noted, that all of the deans of all of our colleges supported the creation of this school and offered their support to the Senate when it was running through that process. The popular CS plus X degrees and the more recent X plus DS degrees are an excellent example of these kinds of partnerships that will grow as the new school advances collaborations across campus, creating more opportunity and more access for learners. And this will all lead to doing good for others and doing good for the world beyond the campus, so that we are, as I like to say, aspiring to be both best in the world and best for the world in all of the work that we do. So I very much look forward to the success and impact of the new Siebel School of Computing and data science for years to come. And I want to thank you, Tom, for your vision. Now, unlike many of the other speakers who've known Tom for a long time, and they talk about how Tom is very grateful for his time here, very generous toward us, also pushes us to be better and think differently. While people have known Tom for many, many years, I met Tom 45 minutes ago. I can say in the first 5 minutes, he was already recommending new degree programs that we should introduce to the university, and I'm very appreciative of those suggestions. To Dean Bashir and Director Amato, I also want to thank you for your leadership. It is now my honor to turn over the program to Dean Bashir to lead us in a conversation with Tom Siebel on experiences from his career, thoughts on the future of AI, computing, and more. Please join me in welcoming Rashid Bashir and Tom Siebel. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Provost Coleman. Can you all hear me? Isn't this turned on? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Provost Coleman. And again, thank you, Mr. Tom Siebel, for being here. This is a great honor, and I think looking forward to this conversation. I've had many conversations, have really been privileged to have many conversations with Tom, and I think I want everyone to kind of feel that excitement and energy that comes from these conversations. So when we asked him to do this, he says, of course. So that's great. I want to also just one thing. So Tom actually holds 4 degrees from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, a bachelor's degree in history, a master's in business administration, a master's in computer science, and an honorary doctorate of engineering. So he's got 4, and he has the 4. And he has the 4 diplomas proudly displayed in his office, which was just great. I think if some of you heard the event he did recently with students, those 4 degrees were in the background, so that was really great. Tom is the chairman and CEO of C3 AI. He was the founder, chairman, and CEO of Siebel Systems, established in '93, that merged with Oracle in 2006. C3 AI provides enterprise AI applications in global enterprises and manufacturing, financial services, government, utilities, oil and gas, and everything. So let me ask you start with this question. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about, I know that's, of course, it's a long story, but a little bit about your career trajectory, about how you first started with Oracle, how did that come about, and when did you decide to leave Oracle to start Siebel Systems, that part of your life?
I was a graduate student here in the Digital Computer Lab, did my graduate work in relational database theory. That's before there was such a thing as a relational database. And that was, a fascinating field that I thought was likely to have a transformative effect, not only on the information technology business, but part of kind of society at large. When you get into this context, we're kind of going through a transition that begins about 1980 through the 70s and 80s in this transition to what Daniel Bell called the post-industrial society. And kind of the beginning of this was I was in the Graduate School of Business here studying, the time I was taking an operations research class, and he got to work on, at the time he had these CDC cyber computers, and we used to do programming experiments then with, these were not virtual machines, so we were filling out, running Fortran programs on using key punch machines. And that was a pretty interesting experience for those of you who have done it, where you go hand in your deck at 10 o'clock at night, and you go pick it up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you find out there was a typo in the 3rd card, and you need to start over anyway. And back then, you had a bookstore in the Student Union, and I stumbled upon a book by Daniel Bell, actually an anthology published by the MIT Press that was entitled The Information Technology Revolution. And the kind of penultimate contribution to that anthology was an article by a sociologist from Harvard, Marxist sociologist by the name of Daniel Bell. It turns out Daniel Bell was a very important thinker, and this was a kind of short version of a book he had written called The Coming Post-Industrial Society. And he predicted that the global economy was going to go through a transition from a goods-based economy to a information-based economy, and that the scarcest and most valuable goods would be, rather than kind of various sources of capital, be that machinery or cash, to information and the timeliness and availability of information. And he predicted that this would result in a change in the structure of the global economy on the order of the Industrial Revolution. And I found that really quite motivating, and I thought, well, this is a game that I want to play. And so I was able, mostly through some references of other professors on campus, to get admitted to the engineering school and studied computer science. And so I could play this game. And in the computer science department, I learned the languages of this game. And in the second year of the program, there was in the graduate school, there was a phone message there to call this person at Oracle Corporation. Well, nobody had ever heard of Oracle Corporation. And so I went out and interviewed with these guys. And they were out in Menlo Park, California. They had about 12,000-foot building and I think 20 employees in the United States, and interviewed with Larry Ellison and Bob Miner and some others. And they seemed like pretty smart guys. And the people who were in the relational database business at the time, that was, Sperry was in the business in a pretty big way with a product called Mapper. Not a big way, they were just like tinkering with it. IBM was tinkering with a project out of Santa Teresa Labs called System R that later became DB2. There was a startup in Berkeley, California called Relational Technology that had a product called Ingress, and then there was Oracle. And these guys seemed like pretty bright guys, and I threw my hat in with them, and that turned out to be a pretty good idea. And so we played a role and I was ultimately one of the guys who ran that business. And we played, I think, a pretty significant role in the development and commercialization of relational database technology, which was an important change for a lot of reasons we can get into some other time. A decade later, I started thinking about the application of information technology and communication technology. And by the way, the worldwide market for information technology at this time, when I left grad school, was about $200 billion, okay? Today, it's like $8 trillion, so things have changed a little bit. Okay, about a decade later, say 1993. Now, we had successfully applied information technology and communication technology to manufacturing processes, office automation processes, ERP systems, and yet the fields of sales, marketing, customer service remain largely untouched by information technology, and I thought that was unlikely to remain true. And so I went to Larry and talked about starting a business to automate sales, marketing, and customer service. And Larry Ellison had no idea, so I said, had no interest, so I said, see you later, bye, and went off and started this company called Siebel Systems. And we developed an approach. We invented this market of CRM. Turned out to be a pretty good idea. And by 6 years later, we were about $2 billion in revenue. We had 8,000 employees and 4,000 customers in 29 countries, and we were the market leader in sales, marketing, and customer service, what is today a $120 billion software market. We had about 85% share in CRM by 2003, and Larry decided he wanted to be in that business, so they had 3,000 programmers set aside to compete with us for 10 years, for which they got less than 1% market share. And that was a very, very animated discussion in the kind of technology media, this kind of war that was going on between Tom and Larry, this catfight that people used to like to write about. And so I was pretty surprised in 2005, September of 2005, when my assistant says, it's Larry Ellison on the phone. And I took the call, and I said, Larry, nice to hear from you. I assume you're not looking for a sponsor for your America's Cup boat. Without skipping a beat, he says, that's not a bad idea, but we need to put the names in alphabetical order. So one thing leads to another, and my company merges with Oracle, and I kind of been there and done that, didn't want to be part of that discussion. But it was a very successful business combination. And so I started thinking about what was next, and I got together with a group of people in 2006, and we started 2007, 2008, and we ideated what we thought was next. And now I understand 2006, this is when, and we thought next was going to be about elastic cloud computing. We thought next was going to be about the Internet of Things. We thought next was going to be about big data. We thought next would be about predictive analytics. Now, guys, in 2006, there was no AWS, right? Okay, there was no Azure, there was no Google Cloud, there was no GPU, and the Internet of Things is something that people talked about as something that might happen in the future. We began work in earnest in January of 2009 and spent a couple $2 billion over the next decade building a software platform that would allow us to design, develop, provision, operate at a massive scale predictive analytics applications. And then on top of that, we built 100 applications to address the value chains of, utilities, oil and gas, manufacturing, defense, intelligence, financial services. With the advent of, and so we get to 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm really the only person in the world talking about enterprise AI. What changed everything was November of 22 with the public introduction of ChatGPT. And since then, nobody's been talking about anything but enterprise AI. And so that's been really quite a phenomenon to the point where today, I think it's October 18th, 2024. It's hard to tell what time zone I'm in because I've been in a lot of cities in the last 5 days. But, I think it's not an overstatement to say there is no business leader, no government leader, no military leader, and no investor who is not having a meeting today about enterprise AI. And that has never, I think, ever happened before in the information technology industry. So this is not ephemeral. It is a secular event, and it is big. Now, that's where we are. Should we talk about generative AI?
We'll get to that next. Okay, good. So that's a great summary. Thank you. And actually, I have to say, right, so I'm listening to NPR every morning. I think many of you are, but pretty much on every station in the morning, you must have heard the ad for C3 AI. And it talks about agnostic-free LLM, hallucination-free, and IP liability-free.
So, LLM agnostic?
LLM agnostic, yes. So can you explain this hallucination-free LLM agnostic at a high level?
Okay, so these LLMs do very little. Okay, they are an important development. How big? I mean, really big. How big is the market? Probably $1 trillion market. So if we look at AI writ large in the enterprise, that's probably $1 trillion market. Think like tomorrow, 2027. Generative AI is another $1 trillion market. So this will be the largest market we've ever seen in the history of enterprise application software. There's a book out by one of our people, Stephen Wolfram, entitled, What is ChatGPT Doing and Why Does It Work? It is a great book, okay? And I've been looking for a good book on large language models for the last 2 years, and it's all just drivel, generative AI for dummies written by some dummy, okay? And, Stephen Wolfram, in the first 51 pages of this book, does a really good job, okay, of explaining how people stumbled onto a lot of these language models, and they did stumble on them, okay? I mean, it was just kind of a mistake, okay? The very small class of problems they solve, exactly how they work. He does a really good job of describing, the stochasticity that's involved, okay, and this associated with this thing that, we call, temperature.
Temperature, yeah.
Okay, and there's a very good job of explaining that, and even us, and we work with these things every day. We've been working with them since 2017. The reality is we have no idea how they work. Okay, they're inexplicable. So that's so when we get to all of these commercial implementations of these large language models, there's a lot of reason why those dogs will not hunt in any reasonable IT organization. They, the answers tend to be stochastic. In other words, every time you ask a question, you get a different answer. You tend to, particularly when you get, now we have these RAG architectures that work pretty well for retrieval augmented generation, that work pretty well for unstructured data and for attribution. But as it relates to structured data, we can't tell where the answer came from. We have this problem called hallucination, which is pretty interesting. You've seen it. We have a problem, and Zico Coulter at Carnegie Mellon and others have been writing about the cyber attack vectors, okay, that these large language models offer, okay, and the data exfiltration problems that they provide. See Samsung for details. Well, all of their, IP ended up on the public internet. There's enormous problems with IP liability. And, IP liability being these guys, these large language models, as you're well aware, are trained on the corpus of the internet. Well, guys, somebody owes the copyright on all of that information, be it a novel by Stephen King or the weather data from the weather company that's owned by IBM, or stock prices that were generated by Bloomberg. And those people want to be paid. And the next 10 years, there's going to be massive amount of litigation, associated with the IP problems. And finally, you have, and for any one of those reasons, that dog does not hunt, okay? It does not get installed in any reasonable installation. Now, the other issue is, every time you use him, you're hooking your wagon onto one of these LLM models. And, to bet on a winner, okay, in the fall of 2024 is kind of crazy, because these guys at, Facebook and Anthropic and OpenAI and, what have you, Mixtral, I mean, they're out innovating each other like crazy, right? And you want to take advantage of that innovation. So you want to be LLM agnostic, so whoever's got the hot ticket that day, you can use it. So reference the $2 billion of work that we did in the first decade. Okay, I've been in the enterprise application software business as long as there's been enterprise application software, right? So we solved these fundamental problems of, also, none of our access controls are enforced by these learning models. You get into places like Department of Defense, Bank of America, 3M, okay, Cummins, I assure you they have access controls. Everybody does have access to everything. Now, so they're not enforceable. Now reference the $2 billion that we spent plus on this C3 AI platform. Okay, we had to solve the problems of access control, N-factor authentication, okay, encryption, okay, attribution, and we just solved all those problems. So when you combine the large learning model just as a small asset of using the C3 AI platform, we're able to solve all those problems. So we can do it in a way that the answers are deterministic. Okay, we turn the temperature down to 0, so it's hallucination free. Okay, we know we actually separate the language model from the data, so the language model has no access to the data, so it can't data exfiltrate. So we've solved all those problems, and so I have hundreds of installations today at places that consider this pretty secure, like the intel agencies and name the intel agency, and the United States Air Force, and the United States Marine Corps, and a number of banks, and so we've solved those problems.
All right, so now we know what that means when you hear it tomorrow morning at 8:30 on NPR. Good. I want to come back to, before we talk about AI and future and jobs and other things, I do want to ask this one question. So when you were at Oracle, we thought about these relational databases and CRM. And that was ahead of the game. I mean, even, I guess you said you talked to Larry Ellison and he didn't want to bite it at that time. Then later with C3 AI, C3 Energy and C3, you kind of went through some changes there. I mean, at that time, AI wasn't a thing. So, I mean, so how do you look into the future?
When we got involved in the relational database
Yeah.
business, there was no market for relational databases.
Right.
When
So
we
why
got,
did you think it
when
was
we got
important?
involved in the CRM business, there was no market for CRM. And when we got involved in enterprise AI, there was no market for enterprise AI.
Right.
But we believed that, the technology vectors that we saw happening, we just believed that it had to happen. And, we got lucky. And, I am a student of history. I read history a lot. I'm not sure whether it repeats itself or not, but it sure rhymes. Okay. That helps. And so, we've made 3 pretty lucky guesses that worked out so far okay.
Well, if you do it multiple times, I don't think it's a lucky guess always. So that's what I would say. But there's something to be said about advice to founders or just new entrepreneurs about, trying to project that future. So anyway, that's a secret, certainly, a secret sauce that not everyone has. Okay, so let me ask you, there's a lot of discussion about, will AI take jobs away? Will all of this automation, right, what is it going to do to society? So let's talk about, this is a broad topic, but this job thing, right? So.
Well, what's going on in
Yes,
AI now, particularly in generative AI? You say, is there a bubble here?
Yes.
Holy moly. Okay. I mean, in generative AI, it's just truly crazy out there, right? Now, I don't know who it was. John Maynard Keynes, who said, somebody in the audience can correct me, but I think it was Keynes who said, markets can remain irrational longer than a rational investor can remain solvent. Okay. And, what we're seeing in generative AI, is wild. I mean, it's is this technology important? Oh, it is hugely important. It changes everything. Okay, and I think when we talk about the things it changes, but it changes everything. It is big. It's bigger than that. Okay, but that being said, some of you may track information technology markets. You see, there's one of the provider, the company that makes ChatGPT. They lose about $6, $7, $8 billion a year. Okay, and it could be, this company was the company that almost disappeared last Thanksgiving, right? Okay, this company, its entire management team is left. They employ a few hundred people. Okay, it could disappear next Monday. Okay, and actually it wouldn't really matter. Okay, it wouldn't really affect anybody. This company just got valued at a $150 billion valuation. I mean, come on, you guys. Some of you can remember when that was a lot of money. That would be the valuation of like Shell. Okay, maybe the second or third largest company on the planet. $150 billion of valuation. If it disappeared next Monday, nobody here would be that surprised. And by the way, it wouldn't make any difference at all to anybody. I mean, if NVIDIA disappeared, it'd be the end of the world. If TSMC disappeared, guys, it would be the end of the world. Okay, then you see what's going on in my world right now in the venture capital community on, Sand Hill Road and in Boston. We have scores of companies being funded every day by 3 people out of the university who want to build a generative AI model for, law office automation. They're going to use it for, generative AI for divorce lawyers, or generative AI for doctors' offices, or generative AI for dentist offices. These companies are being valued every day at greater than billion-dollar valuations. Hundreds of these guys. We have people, leading technologists, okay, at these, some of these companies that in the large language model business, where the chief technology officer really and truly believes he is building God in a box. I mean, come on, God in a box? I mean, let's get a grip here. Does this sound like some Greek tragedy about to play itself out? Well, it is, okay? So the market is reacting to this important breakthrough like it has reacted to a lot of important breakthroughs. So now those of you, let's think about transcontinental railroads in the middle of the 19th century. Was that important? It was hugely important. Okay, stock market was crazy. In the third portion of the 19th century. Huge recession. Then, in the early part of the 20th century, we have urban electrification. This would be Thomas Edison, George Westinghouse. Was Urban electrification important? Holy moly, okay? Okay, and what was the result? The roaring 20s, right? The markets went crazy. Then what happened? We had the Great Depression. Okay, so we get to the dot-com boom, about, in the late 90s, 2000, about the internet, okay? And, everything we had, the market recognized that the internet was important. How important was the internet? More important than anybody could ever have imagined then, okay? But the market way overvalued it at that time. And then we had about a 20% correction, and you get on with it. Okay, how big is the internet today? Like 3 orders of magnitude larger than anybody thought it would be in 1999. Okay, but so what happens here? Am I calling the top of the market in generative AI? Absolutely not. These things can go for years before they correct. When it corrects, it'll knock 20% off the market. 2,000 companies will go out of business, and then we'll get on with it. But it is pretty frothy. Now, jobs. Okay, AI is absolutely a job creator. Hard stop. Okay, people. We get to the Luddites, associated back in, the days of the Industrial Revolution. Remember, we used to have everybody was weaving on jacquard looms, okay? How many jobs did the Industrial Revolution eliminate? Well, everybody worked on jacquard looms, okay? Now, how many jobs did the Industrial Revolution create? Like 1,000, 10,000 for every job it eliminated? Okay, and so there was no need for Teamsters. How many people worked at Ford making cars? So, this is a job creator. Hard stop. It makes all of us, it's going to make doctors more productive, lawyers more productive, teachers more productive, taxi cabs more productive. Goodness, in your pocket, you will have access to the entire knowledge in human history instantly available. Everybody will be a polymath. Everybody will be like Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin. All of us will be, okay? And so will that not make us more productive at what we do? It's going to make us enormously more productive at what we do. It is a good thing. Oh, now there's some dark side to this too, okay, that we get into if you want, and we should go there. But absolutely, this is a job creator, and it is a huge, huge. Whether we're dealing with traditional AI, think supervised learning, unsupervised learning, think what's traditional AI used? Stochastic optimization of supply chain, demand forecasting, fraud detection, production optimization, stuff like that. These are absolute job creators, and hard stop. This is going to be a big economic boost. It'll boost the GDP. It'll boost jobs. It's going to be a good thing, but it does have some dark sides, and we can go there if you want.
Okay, good. No, that's so. Yeah, some things will be automated. They have to be automated, but it doesn't mean that total number of jobs will be reduced. It'll be a major job creator. I think that's what certainly many of us believe. But there's this concern, right? There's a public concern around what will get automated and how. So I thank you for that.
It was with the IBM Selector typewriter, right?
That's right.
It was.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So just let me come back to this one thing you said. So I also, this whole thing on sentient AI and how much AI will advance to really start replacing the human intellect. And do you think that will happen, or how?
Let's talk about sentient AI.
Yeah, let's talk
about that. I would
that.
never say anything about this, okay? But there was a very noted computer scientist who was quoted in last weekend's Wall Street Journal that he said this is all a bunch of bullshit, okay? And I would never talk like that, okay? But
never.
Come on, let's get a grip here, people. Okay, this is kind of
Let's recalibrate. Yeah, let's just calibrate.
Well, let's put this into perspective.
Yes.
Okay. Now the kind of the largest computer clusters that we spool up might be for these, training these models might be say 20,000 GPUs. Okay, it's a $200 million worth of computer capacity. It takes 20 megawatts of power. And these learning models do almost nothing. They do almost nothing. Okay, compare that to the human brain. Okay, we have 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion simultaneous connections. All of those connections are analog, right? These are neurotransmitters, neuromodulators like, serotonin, dopamine. Okay, and we're really, underestimating the power of that thing. If you look at the power of that, the relative capacity, of the Blue Waters machine or this 20,000 GPU cluster we put up that might have the intellectual capacity of a mealworm, okay, compared to what the human mind can do. And these people in data science, they actually believe, okay, I mean, this is just hard to imagine. They actually believe that these neural networks or these deep learning models, somehow emulate the structure, okay, and the functions of the human brain. I mean, let's get a grip here. So, I think all this conversation about, that we need to be worried about the sentient computing that's going to take over, our smart refrigerator is going to take over your house like Hal, in the movie. I mean, come on. Let's get over it, okay? I mean, no way, no how. At the same time, why don't people talk more about the problems associated with AI today in October 2024? I mean, guys, there's some real problems out there. Yes. How about social media? I mean, any of you have daughters, okay, or grandchildren? Okay, I mean, known, documented, nexus between that cause and effect. Okay, I mean, it's just this global tragedy playing out and particularly with young women. And this is not a sexist statement; it's just a fact. Okay, and loneliness, body image issues, suicide. I mean, how many of you have friends, neighbors who kids have committed suicide? Everyone in this room. Okay, everyone in this room. Hey, when I grew up, nobody committed suicide. It didn't happen. And now it happens every year to somebody you know. Okay, these technologies are being used by bad actors every day. Okay, Iran, North Korea, okay, Russia, China, documented. Okay, to interfere in the democratic process. 2016, 2020. 2016, 2020, 2022, Brexit, 2024. It calls into question whether we're going to be able to conduct free and open democratic societies. Everyone wants to fixate. And, I know I'm going to get canceled. You guys aren't going to invite me back. It happens all the time. Okay, but everybody wants to fixate, and beat ourselves over to death over the fact that in colonial America, okay, and in post-colonial America, in the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th century, we had slavery. Did we invent it? We did not. Okay, 13 million, okay, African Americans were exported out of West Africa, okay, to the New World. 780,000 of them ended up in colonial America. Okay, 5.6 million into Brazil, okay, and the rest into the Caribbean. Okay, French islands and Brazil. Was it a good thing? No, it was a horrible thing. How long has slavery been around on the planet Earth? Since, come on, check your history. Before there was civilization, okay? Mesopotamia, okay? Greece, Rome, the Vikings. So it's a bad thing. So we want to fixate on that. Let's get to AI, people. There are 40 million, October 18th, 2024, there are 40 million people enslaved on the planet Earth today. Look it up. Okay, where are they? North Africa, Asia, India, primarily, and in the United States. Okay, with the sex trade, with a lot of these young people who are coming out of South America, this is real. Okay, and what is the primary exchange trade? Okay, for the sex trade, what documented fact? Facebook. So I mean, to right to be forgotten, who's not for that? I mean, everybody's for that. I mean, why can't you send Google, Facebook, whoever it is, a letter and say, I want to be forgotten, in 24 hours have all your records expunged? Because it's not in their best business interest, that's why. So, I don't understand why there is an outrage about the problems associated with AI today. Can it get worse from here? Absolutely, and it's going to get worse. But I don't think we need to worry about sentient computing, okay? I mean, there's some non-zero probability that sometime in the future there'll be a sentient computer. Guys, I don't think it's anytime soon. And so sorry to get on to rant about that a little bit, but I think it's a real issue, and I kind of understand why you, okay, and everybody just aren't outraged about it.
Okay, all right, that was quite an answer. I think that's a great calibration. That in terms of functionality, exactly. The best supercomputer is still the size of an apple and runs on sugar between our ears. And what today's exist in the hardware cannot replicate the things we do. So we are far from, I mean, artificial intelligence is far from real biological intelligence. But we're making progress, and we're going to make things better, create more jobs with AI that we have. But I agree. I think the whole question on social media is another huge, right, and how AI and social media can cause so much harm, and it is, and we're not necessarily working about addressing those because it's not necessarily in the business model. So, okay, all right. Let me ask you, kind of switching gears a little bit. What's your, like, the philanthropy or just sort of giving back, right? So what drives you to, you're very involved in all the so many universities. You've been on board at Stanford, at Berkeley, at Princeton, with us. So all through your career, you have been very engaged with academia. I'm just like, what drives that? Why do you do that?
Well, like all of you, okay, I want to leave my neighborhood in a better place than I found it. I've been, had enormous good fortune in my professional career, and so I try to give back. And I try to give back in ways that are highly leveraged. I think, the greatest gift there is education. And it is the greatest gift. I mean, you want to fight poverty, you want to fight homelessness, okay, you want to fight hunger. I mean, what is the key? Do I think that there needs to be a safety net for these people? I know there does. But what's the real long-term solution? I mean, it's education. And so that's what, I think almost everything that I do, well, we do a lot related to homelessness, and we do a lot related to public health, okay? So we're involved in that, okay? But I think the most important things that we do are related to educating people, and so that, I think that's the most important thing that we can all do, to get long-term solutions to these problems that, are very troubling about, homelessness and hunger, okay, and disease. And I mean, come on, what's the biggest disease problem, maybe in the world today? I mean, it might be, diabetes, right? If it's not, it's close, okay, and, the projections are it's close. I mean, how much is that related to education? How closely is that correlated? Well, one of you people actually know the fact, but I suspect it's an R² of about 1. Okay, and so that's been the motivation.
Thank you. I have a couple. We actually sourced some questions from students as well, so I'll ask a couple of questions from students as we close this. How do you view AI race that we have entered, not just with other companies certainly, but with other countries? And that's
Sorry, what is the question?
How do you view the AI race?
Okay, that's a great AI race. Okay, so I think about that a lot, and I'm pretty active in with the Department of Defense in projects that they're involved in, and AI kind of plays a big role. Okay, in the next generation of warfare. And by the way, the next generation of warfare is pretty well described in a book called The Kill Chain by Christian Brose. It is a great book that describes kind of what this looks like. And AI is hugely important. When we get into autonomous vehicles, subsurface autonomous vehicles, hypersonic swarms, I mean, all sorts of things. This is, multi-domain command and control. But for AI, you will not be able to compete. Now, I was convinced that the Chinese were going to roll us. And there's a book written about this by Kai-Fu Lee. Many of you may know him, very bright guy. Kai-Fu describes in his book that he used to run Microsoft China and then Google China. And, he describes, we have this system in China with the NRDC, and they come up with their 5-year plan. And we have all these, these bright young people in China, all of whom were educated at Stanford, Harvard, and the University of Illinois. Okay, and they work like 27 hours a day, and they have the same tools that that we all do because they got them here, okay? And the very clear message on how to operate, okay? And then they have all these startups that were funded by U.S. Venture capital companies, and I was convinced that they were going to roll us. Kai-Fu Lee's book is called AI Superpowers, and he predicts that they roll us. Okay, and by the way, if the Chinese roll us on AI, like, be afraid, because this does not end well. And you know, I do a lot of work with these guys in the defense community, and I'm not certain we're that, you know, it's a little bit more random the way things work in the free world. So I was worried, but there's like China's really blowing it. I mean, they've kind of turned on their tech sector. I mean, has anybody seen Jack Ma recently? I mean, where's Jack? Okay, all of the U.S. venture firms have pulled out, not because they knew it was the right thing to do, because they got shamed to pull out. And if you don't think we're preparing for war with China, let me help you out, because we are preparing for war with China. And God forbid if it happens. Now, with the venture capital industry having left China, the venture industry has been taken over by the Communist Party. You can't make this up, okay? And those of you who know China know that they distribute a lot of the power to the municipal governments. So in each of the municipal governments, in Hangzhou, Shenzhen, Shanghai, there's some party operative that's making the decision about which company to fund, instead of like Mark Andreessen. Well, come on, how's this going to work, okay? I mean, he's going to make, an intelligent decision. Even better, for these people to train learning models now, the training set needs to be approved by the Communist Party. I mean, really. So these guys, I think that, I think there's hope. I was really concerned. But I think there's hope. I think the Chinese might have done themselves in. And but there is a war. I mean, we're there. It is war. And I mean, when the Chinese come in, okay, and take all 21 million records out of the Office of Personnel Management, that includes everybody who has ever been considered for or granted a security clearance in the history of the United States. I mean, if that's not an act of war, I don't know what is. Okay, and they did that. So, I mean, if you're interested in cybersecurity, there's a book called The Perfect Weapon, okay, by David Sanger, and he describes every state-sanctioned cyber attack, beginning with Stuxnet, which is we might have been involved in that. That was the one in Iran with the Israelis where we kind of shut down all their centrifuges. The North Korean hack against Sony, the Chinese hack against the Office of Personnel Management, SolarWinds. Okay, I mean the SolarWinds Russia attack. I mean that's so big nobody even wants to talk about it. But they're all described in kind of great deal how they happened. It's a huge problem, and it's a great book.
Okay, all right. So a couple of just last questions. Do you have any advice? What advice would you give to students? I know when you came, you gave a talk at one point at the Siebel Center for Computer Science some years ago, and students asked you that too at that time. So what advice would you give to students now? Just around what to study, what to...
You are at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. You have died and gone to heaven, and you may not know it, okay? Okay? You have the resources that you have at your disposal are unlimited, okay? If they tell you you can't get there, figure out how to break the rules and get there, okay? Sorry, okay? But there is nothing that is not at your disposal. If you need a nuclear reactor, you get access to a nuclear reactor, right? Okay, okay. I mean, there's nothing they don't have here, okay? And so you should, find out what you're interested in and become a domain expert. And I'm not saying that the right thing to do is computer science, okay? If it's philosophy, become an expert in philosophy. If it's religious studies, do that. Economics, fine arts, it doesn't matter. Become a domain expert. And the resources that are instantly available to you in this institution are limitless, okay? And if you can't get access to it, you just haven't asked the right person yet. Okay, you need a supercomputer, go talk to Bill. Okay, he's got one.
At least one, maybe two.
He's got 24 petaflops down the street. Okay. Well, I won't go into the next story on that. Okay, but okay, so I would say become a domain expert in whatever it is in your field. Okay, and then, everybody wants to, leave college and go and be an entrepreneur. Guys, I've started, built 4 successful companies, okay? Well, okay, and if I had left here, and, I've been reasonably successful, okay, in my professional career, okay? If I had left here and gone started a company, I think the probability of success would have been very low. Because like every graduate student and every other undergraduate student here, I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. I mean, I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to account. I didn't know how to do customer service. I didn't know hire. I didn't know how to do, deal with human capital. And so I went to work for a little startup, and I watched it grow from 20 people to 1,000 people. And I learned from them. And I mean, you don't think we made mistakes? We made mistakes every day. And I learned from what we did right. I learned from what we did wrong. But I would, go to work for a company that has bright people and go learn something. Learn about sales, learn about technology, learn about engineering, okay, learn about accounting, learn about the law, business law as it relates to your field, learn about, human management practices. And then, go do your, if you have a drive to be an entrepreneur, go do it. I'm telling you, it's harder than you think. Okay, if you decide to be an entrepreneur, go start a company, you will pay a price. Okay, and you got to be willing to pay it. But I think this idea of leaving schools and going out and doing startups the day after school, I think it's candidly crazy. And so I would not. I would go find some bright people, work with them, go figure out, how the world works, and and then go do your startup. If that's what's driving you, so that would be my advice. Okay. I know that's not the right answer. Okay. I know that's not the right answer. In a lot of the classes, I often get the chance to speak at Stanford and other places. And, very frequently, these people ask me, and particularly bright young women, you'll try to ask me these questions where they're leading me to answer the question that it's okay and that they can have work-life balance. You can be a CEO, and these people want to be, they want to be a mother, they want to be a housewife, and they want to be Steve Jobs. Okay, let me help you out. I mean, I knew Steve. Okay, Steve was a tortured human being. Okay, and the idea that you can be a stay-at-home dad, go to soccer games every Thursday night, okay, and be Andy Grove, okay, or Bill Gates, it's not going to work that way. Okay, so you decide to be that person, you can be that person, but you're going to pay a price because you're not going to be there for birthdays, you're not going to be there for soccer practices, you're not going to be home for dinner. Okay, so be careful what you ask for. I'm not certain that's the right answer. I think it's okay to be home for birthdays. I think it's okay to be at soccer games. Okay, I think that might be the right answer. But this idea that you can do all that and be Steve Jobs, get over it, it cannot be done. Okay, if you want to be Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Andy Grove, Larry Ellison, you will pay a price. So you're going to need to be willing to pay it.
Okay.
Wrong answer, I know.
That's all right.
Okay.
It's straight from the
I've been there,
heart,
I've done it, and I paid it. Okay, now I'm very fortunate. I've had, my wife of now 38 years, 4 wonderful children, 4 great-grandchildren, so I am the luckiest person in the world. But you won't be there for the birthday.
Okay. Well,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. So I think let's give him a big round of applause. Okay. Thank you. That was awesome. Yes, please come up. And we're going to have a few other gifts too, but this is one we wanted to give you. This is actually the faculty in computer science and students,
you.
saying thank you.
Thank you.
This is.
Thank you. Well, let me get rid of this. Hold it.
Yes.
That last May.
Thanks. So we'll have you hold this.
Tilt it down just a little bit, please. There you go.
There we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll do the same. Thank you again. Okay, so the party is not ending yet.